Joining me now, a young man who knows a lot about big tech suppressing and deleting conservative content online. He's the co-chair of Students for Trump and a member of Turning Point Action in USA. A young man with a big voice, Ryan Fournier. Ryan, welcome to Real America. How you doing today, sir?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing good. Hope you are as well.
Well, as you can tell, I'm a little fired up. I'm a little hot under the collar here. Why? Because I see big tech over the past week and a half, literally stepping up their game. They were already fact-checking and silencing voices here and there a little bit, but ever since the Biden scandal broke, now, we're seeing reports, we're hearing about it. They are trying to stop, suppress, delete anything on all three of the major platforms. Has it happened to you in recent times or the past?
Yeah, we're putting out stuff every day, especially on the Hunter Biden email scandals. And, we're getting fact checks left and right from lead stories, from PolitiFact, from Snoops, for whatever that's worth. They're fact checking everything. And yes, memes are getting fact checked. I was fact checked the other week for talking about the debate moderator between Kamala Harris and Mike Pence, saying that she was writing, or I said she wrote a book on Nancy Pelosi, attributing it to partial bias. And they fact-checked it and said she is writing a book. So they fact-checked me for one word. Charlie Kirk is going through this right now. He was locked out of his Twitter account for referencing potential voter fraud in Pennsylvania. They locked him out of his account. They're demanding the tweet be removed in order for him to get his account access back.
Wait, Ryan, was that on the story? I'm sorry to interrupt, but that was the story that we reported on too, where the ballots were thrown out in Pennsylvania? That it's an actual fact, like law enforcement's looking into it, and they fact-checked that and told him that he was going to be deleted if he didn't remove it.
Correct, 100%, and he's still locked out of his account to this day. The New York Post is still locked out of their account to this day. Writers for the New York Post are locked out of their accounts, even though Jack Dorsey, the Twitter CEO, came out and said that we made a mistake on how we handled this. Facebook, you post the link, it's going to be fact-checked. We had my page fact-checked for posting the New York Post link. It's happening, and if you didn't see it before, you're seeing it now, and you can't be blinded by it no longer, because this is direct election interference by the tech giants.
Yeah, and Ryan, you know who should be upset about this? Every single American. This is not a conservative or liberal issue. What's happening is because they're doing it to conservative voices, but any American out there who loves that we have the right of free speech, or we did, or the image that we do, should be upset when hearing this and demand, even if it's speech they don't like hearing, they should demand. Because I can tell you, as a 45-year-old conservative man, I want the left to have their right to say whatever they want, left and right. It doesn't matter who it is. It's called free speech. This is insane to me. We don't live in China.
Exactly.
Talk to me about... Yep, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, we've been fighting this for the last 3.5, 4 years now with the Democrats. They argue that there's no such thing as censorship. Well, it's because the people who run these tech companies in Silicon Valley are predominantly leftists. They don't support President Trump. And we've seen it time and time again recently. Comments were leaked from Facebook employers on an app that they use to communicate. It's sort of an anonymous social media app for tech companies. And they were communicating that they were upset and sickened by how Facebook and Twitter handled the New York Post. So even employees in these companies are waking up.
Ryan, may I ask, how old are you?
I'm 24.
So you're a young man. You got into this political game a few years back when you were just a teenager. You saw there was an issue out there, I would assume, with conservative voices being suppressed on college campuses. And I want to talk about that since you're the co-founder of Students for Trump. Your generation and young people out there, if they are viewing this program, I know a lot of our viewers skew my age and older, and that's okay. I'm trying to get the younger ones on the show and watching OAN. How are we going to stop? You've got professors on these campuses spewing this liberal agenda, the hate for the president. We've seen videos of, even now with the lockdown, you've seen numerous videos where professors are on these Zoom calls just ripping in, even saying, I shouldn't be saying this, but, and then ripping the president, telling lies, spewing this radical agenda of rewriting our history. How are you helping, and how are we going to make sure in 13 days that younger voters who are so impressionable and really their whole life is online. Nobody's watching broadcast TV anymore that's 24 and under. How are you going to get that message out there so they're not brainwashed to all this bias?
Right, and that's kind of where our big piece of the cake is in terms of helping reelect this president. 60% of millennials, according to a poll last year, and Gen Z get their news from social media. We're talking about 18 to 35. Get their news from social media, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, you name it. But I think that in order for people to understand this argument and what's happening on the college campus, it's not just happening there, it's happening at high schools and middle schools, elementary schools across the country, is by looking at the curriculum, looking at what the students are learning. History is being reinterpreted. American history, Western history, history on mankind in general. It's all being changed. Sugar-coated in a way. We're looking at course content being heavily weighted towards globalism, multiculturalism, and kind of washing away the inconvenient truths happening in this country or omitting them. And we're seeing that on college campuses. We're seeing it with the people who run the SAT and ACT, how the students are tested. It is a systematic issue. But when we reach out to students on the college campus, it's important to also note that the Democrats have used the college campus as an unfettered pathway with a carrot stick approach to get to the White House almost every election cycle until Students for Trump and Turning Point Action has stepped foot on campus. We're there to fight back against this narrative that there's such thing as eliminating student loan debt. You and I and all the viewers know that that's just taking debt from the student, putting on the back of the American taxpayer, or free health care for all, right? It's all pandering. About going on this campus. Yes, pandering. And that is what they do. That's what they're good at. That's how AOC was elected. That's how Ilhan Omar was elected. They pandered on a whole nother level with their millions of followers. But the fact of the matter is,
now they're cheating with ballot harvesting. Sorry, I had to throw that in there.
Yeah, they are. No, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. They are cheating. I don't know how this woman, by the way, Ilhan Omar, hasn't been arrested. She's been investigated like 5 times for different things. I'm getting off topic, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. But, going on the college campus, we go on there with facts, a fact-based approach. We have conversations with students. The only way to advance our country and society is having debate and discussion, and that's what we do. I go to college campuses every single month. Charlie does it more than I. And we see the stories. We see young people listening to actual things the president has done and saying, wow, I didn't even know this. The media just, hates on them all the time.
They have no clue. Because
with the 95% negative reporting that they do.
Because all they do is use this. And then social media is biased and skewing everything to the left and deleting and freezing our accounts and posts. And so if you're 18 to 21 and you're in your first 4 years of college and you're on that campus listening to that liberal professor spew you a bunch of BS, and then you're reading the lies on here and all of our voices are being suppressed, how are you going to know when you enter the job force and start voting what the real truth is? I want to throw a quote out there before we go, because I think what you're doing, what Charlie's doing, and Students for Trump is doing is an amazing thing. Because I worry about my daughter. She's a teenager. She'll be in college in like 4 or 5 years. Here's one of your quotes that my producer pulled up. College campuses were once a defender of knowledge and freedom of thought. They have since become epicenters of ignorance and oppression. Ryan Fournier, I could not say it better myself.
And I said it in 2016. It could never hold truer than now than it did then. It's gotten much worse, and we're still in this fight. But we're going to keep it up, and we're going to win. Big, sweet victory on Election Day. So
I'll tell you, for the future of our country, for the future generations, for your generation, sir, let's hope so. Let's pray so. Ryan, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. Tell Charlie all our best. I know we were trying to get a hold of him. He's been swamped. Obviously, we can't reach him on social media because they blocked it. So we'd like to have him back on before the election as well, if you could pass that message along for us.
I will.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Dan.
Yep. Thank you, Ryan, for what you're doing. Take care, brother. Have a good day. Well, President Trump has threatened to release his 60 Minutes interview with Lesley Stahl before it airs this Sunday. Why? For being hostile and biased and fake. The interview with the president and correspondent Stahl is supposed to air on the 25th, but yesterday the president tweeted out that for the sake of accuracy of reporting and how they treated him compared to how they treat Joe Biden during interviews, he may just release it early so that viewers compare the real footage compared to what the interview will be cut down to. Yeah, I think so. Good job, Mr. President. Make sure you do that. Now, after the interview, the president released a video of Stahl in the White House speaking to staffers, and maybe you've seen this if you've been online, unless your account got blocked, not wearing a mask. That's right. Even though we learned from the press secretary yesterday online that Ms. Stahl was giving a hard time to staffers for not wearing their mask while she was in the White House. And then she didn't have it on. Yeah, how about that? So here's my invitation. I would like to invite the president of our country, Mr. Donald J. Trump, to join me on Real America, where I promise to ask fair and respectful questions. We will give you fair amount of time, Mr. President. I don't throw softballs, but I also won't treat you with disrespect like the rest of the lamestream media does. All right, coming up next here on Real America, singer Joy Villa going to join our show to break down today's headlines. And Joy always has a lot to say, especially when it comes to silencing her voice. Don't go away.